Good Sunday morning, everybody out there in the YouTube community.
From the 3C Mechanical Weather Center.
I hope everybody's having a good Sunday and enjoying their time at the bench. And I want to say thank you to all the subscribers and all the people that watched my first video. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about things I've learned over the past few years. When I first started out back into modeling, I used Rust-Oleum. And Rust-Oleum can be a pain in the butt. You have to follow the directions on the can, and at the same time you got to hope that it works, and you got to pay attention to the humidity and the temperature out there when you're painting. I did most of my painting outside, and believe me, I screwed up a bunch of models using Rust-Oleum, but at the same time I got some good ones too. So you kind of take your chances with Rust-Oleum paint, and you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, and you cannot repaint over it the next day to make it better, because actually it just makes it worse. So like I said, follow the instructions on the can and wait the time limit between coats. And then when I get ready to clear coat over the Rust-Oleum, I stay with the Ultra Color Gloss Clear, and that works too. And at the same time, you have to follow the instructions on the can, because sometimes it can cause you problems. Like for instance, on my 1963 Impala, I painted it white, but on the right side of the car, when I clear coated it, all the paint lifted. And I figured that's because I did not paint it, wait and give it time to gas out. And that's some of my experience with Rust-Oleum paint. The car I'm fixing to show you is a 40 Ford, and I use Rust-Oleum on it. I use the spring green, and then I use the gloss clear, and I use the flat gray primer from Rust-Oleum. And I think it turned out pretty good. I don't paint for competition. I kind of paint for a chef queen, especially since my health condition won't let me go to shows no more. So here's my 40 Ford. And I think that light's a little too bright on it. Sorry about the hand and arm. I built this back in 2019 along with the 55 Chevy, and that was also done with Rust-Oleum. And I enjoyed this build. Matter of fact, I bought the 54 Ford and trailer combo, and I did that up, and then I did a barn find 40 Ford to put on the trailer. It's in the house, sitting on the shelf. It turned out pretty good too. Now, I still use a lot of Rust-Oleum primer flat black for the chassis, because most of my models are chef queens, and even though Tamiya has a great flat black, I just kind of stick with Rust-Oleum flat black because I can get more out of the can and I can get it done. And flat black don't really give me a hard time. And that's what I used on that. The interior is done in a tan or a khaki color, and it is craft paint. I use a lot of craft paints on the interiors. I kind of started switching over to the Tamiya acrylics on the interior on my 41 Plymouth that I got in build right now. The interior windows is the red window that come with the 40 Ford, and I thought it would go good with the green and the headlights. The engine is basically all this is stock built from the kit, and I did not plumb it or anything, and it turned out pretty good. Okay, the next car I want to talk about is the 67 Chevelle by AMT. Now this car is the first car that I used airbrush on, and I used MCW paints, and I used the Marina Blue Metallic on it, and I still stayed with the Rust-Oleum primer. I think it was gray, and I painted it, and then I clear coated it with the MCW gloss clear enamel, and you have to use the clear hardener with it to get it to work right. Also, you can use hardener with your MCW paint, which at the same time you have to thin it too. And back then I was using the MCW leavening thinner. It came out all right, and it did good. I just felt uncomfortable using the airbrush and mixing all the paint to paint it and to get everything set right. So I painted a few with the airbrush and MCW paints, and I also got pretty good at it. I think it was worthwhile trying something different, and I'm happy with the car. It turned out okay. I stayed with my Rust-Oleum flat black for the chassis, and I stayed with some of the craft paints on the interior. Then the engine compartment is right there, and I put a lot of detail. I did not wire it, but I tried to put a lot of detail into the engine compartment, as you can see. And it's a pretty good car. And for MCW paint, I think I did a pretty good job. Like I said, I'm just not comfortable trying to mix all that stuff to get it right every time, because I screwed some up here too. And that's the way it rolls sometimes. You get good jobs and you get bad jobs, but you can always strip them down and start all over, which I have done on several cars. Okay, the next one I want to show you is my 67 Mustang Fastback GT. That one was all Tamiya except for the chassis, I think. Yeah, the chassis was not Tamiya, it was Rust-Oleum. I pretty much stay with the chassis on Rust-Oleum. And this one, I used the surface primer white, and then I put a base coat of silver leaf on it, and then I went with the Tamiya metallic green for the color coat, and I shot 3 coats on it. And I followed the instructions that Fred Henry does on his tutorial about shooting a Tamiya, and I kind of started switching over to all Tamiya, except for when I do chassis and stuff. I use the Rust-Oleum part. Now Tamiya makes a good flat black. I got some, and I know it's going to show up on the current shelf. I'll use that instead of the Rust-Oleum flat black. And I think this car turned out pretty good. I enjoyed building it, and would I build it again? Yes, I would. And I built this car for the year of the Mustang, and I got another one, a 66 Mustang in there that I painted red for my cousin Joan. Her dream car was a 66 Mustang, and it turned out good too. And I used all Tamiya on it. And that's the one that I'm most comfortable with, is Tamiya. I have better luck with it. I enjoy painting with it. I just gotta follow the instructions. After I get everything sanded down from the primer coat, I shoot a real light coat of the color on it, and then I let it set for 5 minutes, and then I put my second coat on it, and I let it set for 5 minutes. Then I put my third coat on it and let it set until it's cured. And I will not put a clear coat on it for 2 or 3 days, sometimes a week. And when I put my clear coat on it, I put it just like I do the color. I'll put one light mist on it, and then I'll put a second coat on it 5 minutes later, and then I'll put a third coat on it 5 minutes later. And I'll let it set in the dehydrator for a while, probably 3 or 4 days. And I put my decals on in between the clear coat and the base coat. And if I think it needs it, I'll wet sand it and get all the pebbles out of it that I can find. Of course, with my old age, I don't see that good. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope that helps some of you out. But the key is, find what you enjoy doing and you enjoy working with. Be it Tamiya, Rust-Oleum, or NCW, splash paints. I've thought about trying splash paint, but you need to research it before you try it. And I'm still in the process of researching splash paints. NCW is a great paint, but it's mind-boggling, and I don't feel comfortable with NCW paint because I can't keep all that mixture stuff in my head. I have to go back and research how to do it every time I want to do it. With Tamiya, I don't have that problem. With Rust-Oleum, I don't have that problem. If I want to take a chance for it not to come out right. Because Rust-Oleum, 5 times out of 10, it's going to come out not right. You're going to have orange peel, you're going to have wrinkled paint. You got to be careful with it. The biggest thing I found is you got to use a light mist on it, and you can't, the second coat don't get heavy like you can with Tamiya or anything else. Just stay with the light mist till you get the coat that you desired. I know Tamiya is a little pricey, and usually I can get 1 car out of a can of Tamiya, and I'm working on it to where I can get 2 cars. I just got to get better with managing how much I spray and how much overspray I do, because I spray past the car a lot, and I got a lot of paint in my paint booth when I get done. But it works. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe or like. I really enjoyed all the comments and all the likes I got on the first video, and I hope this one helps somebody decide what they want to do with paints. And I'm not trying to get into the paint war that's going on. That's y'all. You just have to find what you're comfortable doing. Have a great Sunday, and I hope you all have a great week. Thank you, Donnie.